Alrighty. Well, we are here for what is going to be a live severe weather update. This is for the increasing concern given a lot of the latest trends in some of the models for tomorrow, Thursday. We can see this massive trough here on the HRRR model, just this bowling ball shape digging right through northern Mexico, through Texas, and this is what's going to be spawning our severe weather on the southeast side. The Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk for severe weather, and that includes a large 10% hatched risk for longer track strong tornadoes. Now, I don't think that we're going to see an upgrade past 10%, but definitely I think some of the trends that we're seeing with some of the models is definitely concerning, especially how much farther north some of those the Cape or the available energy is getting in our atmosphere. And I'll go ahead and say ask any questions you want to in the chat. Obviously, this is a live stream, so yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know, and I will be free to cover all of those. So, but yeah, so this is for tomorrow, and then for today, actually, this is going to be later tonight. We've got a pretty small 5% and also a pretty small 2%. And I don't think this will be changed by much. Today is not looking nearly as attractive as tomorrow would look. I guess if you're chasing, it's attractive, but concerning, I should say. It's not looking nearly as concerning. So we'll go ahead and just take a look at the models. This shows us kind of somewhat of an idea of what our precipitation might look like. And this is around midnight into the morning hours tomorrow morning. You can see we start to get some of that precipitation falling. You live in Kentucky, Cincinnati. What weather's coming my way? You're probably not going to have anything too serious. Pretty much just that cold rain that's going to probably take away any of the snow that you've got around there. I can actually go ahead and pull this out so we can get a better look at it. Yeah, so here we are in the early morning hours tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and talk about it, right? So here you are down here in Cincinnati. We don't really have any chance of that severe risk. We don't have any energy really in the atmosphere. It's a little too cold. So really we're just going to get some mild rain. You might get a couple flood warnings or something here or there, but nothing of major concern for that area. We'll go ahead and focus just back down here into the south, and you can see we have our low pressure here, which is spawning some of these storms. You've got some pretty major freezing rain and snow on the back end of this system, and then you're going to have the severe weather on the southern end of the system, and then just some cold rain kind of sandwiched in between, right? And as we move on into the early morning hours here on Thursday, you do have a chance of possibly a couple tornadoes in this range. It's not going to be anything, like I said, of major concern, as it looks like we're really not going to have too many surface-based storms, and I think that those storms are really not going to be able to feed off of really any energy. But as we move towards the afternoon hours here, you start to see some of this precipitation that's forming south of that low pressure and actually ahead of the front in the warm sector. And it does not look all that impressive on here. However, if we take a sounding from any of these, the shear is just off the charts. They're all going to be tornado soundings. 500 Cape, which is actually more than enough. to support severe weather. You really would like numbers in the thousands if you want, strong surface-based severe weather. However, 500 will be more than enough for us to have severe weather down here. And these large looping hodographs. So what a hodograph is, it's this box right here. So what a hodograph is this is looking top down at a storm's winds, right? So this is the wind in the atmosphere, okay? So obviously 0 to 1, that's your lowest levels, and then 1 to 2, 2 to 3, it goes up in the atmosphere farther and farther. So obviously in the lowest levels of our atmosphere, which is where tornadoes and majority of storm activity occurs, in that lower to mid levels, we have a lot of directional shear and a lot of speed shear. I mean, we have shear in the 40s and 60s in the lower to mid levels. Storm relative helicity of 412 and 600 at the 0 to 3 kilometer, which that is a lot of helicity in the atmosphere. So there's plenty of turning, there's plenty of shear in the atmosphere for this to really be a very major day if any of the Cape or anything has any type of uptrend. And that's actually what we've been seeing on some of the recent models. So here we're looking at the HRRR model again, and then this is near the midnight range here for central Oklahoma. We've actually got Cape that is breaking the 1,000 mark. So this is actually a little bit more cause for concern, as we might have some more surface-based storm development than we initially anticipated here, and which might cause a little bit more of a surprise for Oklahoma. Instead of just getting some more elevated thunderstorms, we might get some more of those real gnarly surface-based potential to produce tornado style of supercell thunderstorms. And then as we move into the midday, heading towards afternoon, this is what's becoming much more of a concern, as we're actually getting nearly 1,000 Cape kind of spread over the entirety of the warm sector. Not really 1,000 plus, but just kind of right on the 1,000 range. And one thing that I'm picking up on here is we're actually getting 1,000 Cape right up to the top of this warm nose, which is pushing all the way up into southeastern Missouri right here in eastern Arkansas. You might have a little bit more of a chance of seeing tornadoes than you expected in this range, because we're getting higher Cape values up there. But even still, the fact that we have kind of just lines of 1,000 Cape stretching all the way through Mississippi, southern Mississippi, Louisiana, that's going to fuel those supercells a lot more than originally anticipated. And like I had said, with the kinematics we have down here, any slight uptick in Cape or our energy we have available will be capable of inducing a very major outbreak. I mean, quite frankly, if our Cape trends up somewhere in, like, let's say it trends up an extra 25%, that could be enough to spark quite a significant outbreak down here. Now, I will say all of the hodographs in this range are very supportive of supercell thunderstorms. So even though kind of the models are painting this as more of a linear mode, I do think it'll be more of a kind of broken line of cells. And the question really is if those cells can get surface-based. If they can get surface-based, there is plenty of shear. The kinematic support that we have is off the charts, and I would anticipate that we would be seeing probably a pretty major outbreak. Now, the Storm Prediction Center says 6 tornadoes is an outbreak. Very easily, if we see Cape in the thousands and maybe even over the thousands in some areas down here, you're going to see a pretty major outbreak. I mean, I would anticipate seeing quite a few tornadoes in here. But again, so this is actually something new to College of DuPage's model website. So what they have is actually a map of hodographs. So what this does is this shows us in the lighter orange color is our Cape, right? So we can see lighter orange. This is maybe 1,000 Cape, maybe less than that, right? Spreading across this whole area. This is around midday here, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And the curves on these photographs are absolutely insane. Now, like I said, a photograph is looking top down at a supercell thunderstorm. So whenever you have curves like this, and it spans, I mean, all the way up here into parts of northern Arkansas, up towards Tennessee, you've got these curves. You have the possibility of seeing tornadoes, and actually you have the possibility of seeing pretty strong tornadoes, to be quite honest. And that's why the Storm Prediction Center did introduce that day 2 10% hatched risk, talking about the chance of stronger tornadoes. And if you notice where that hatched risk is, it matches up almost perfectly with where we have these incredibly curved lower level photographs. So where the winds are turning the most in the lower levels of the atmosphere, that's where the Storm Prediction Center has outlined those 10% chances of seeing a stronger tornado. So since we have Cape on a little bit of an uptrend, and this is actually, it is pretty concerning, I do think that the Storm Prediction Center will at least stick with that 10% hatched risk, maybe even the possibility of adding in a 15% hatched risk, where we might see surface observations in the morning of a little bit warmer temperatures and a little bit higher dew points. Now, not to scare anybody, but the December 10 outbreak did also have under forecast dew points and Cape values. The day of the outbreak, dew points and temperatures were under forecast by about 3 to 4 degrees. And I do think that the models could be kind of doing the same thing and maybe under forecasting both our dew points and our temperatures by maybe a couple degrees maximum. But even a couple degrees could bring up these Cape values by 10% or more. And that kind of increase in these Cape values, in that energy in the atmosphere, is going to allow for a much more significant outbreak. So the positive thing is, once we get into the evening hours of Thursday, it looks like our energy is almost completely gone, which will inhibit us having a very long sustained outbreak. So this will likely just be more of a Thursday. And wow, actually we have quite a lot of Cape down there in Arkansas, a lot more than what was initially forecast. And let's go ahead and just watch here. Yeah, that's actually quite a bit of Cape up here. Now, the one concern for up here is that you don't have as much of a hooked photograph. So while we might have some more Cape up here, and I'll drop a little knowledge on you here, I think this is why we're seeing some more Cape. Our dew points, we've got that slot of drier air in the atmosphere right here, which is steepening our lapse rates and also allows us to have this slightly fatter pool of Cape. So if any of you guys ever want to see me make a video talking about how to read these photograph charts, just let me know. I love making videos about this, obviously. So, but anywhere here in eastern Arkansas, Mississippi, I mean, this is definitely a concerning trend that we're seeing over 1,000 Cape on the latest models of the HRRR. Now, this isn't to say that this will definitely happen, but I do think that this model probably has the energy down a little bit better than some of our other models. Definitely Mississippi, pretty much the entirety of Mississippi, unless you live right on the coast, you're in the range of concern for stronger long track tornadoes. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and look at our significant tornado parameters, and we're going to focus on this area here. We're not going to worry too much about the storms out here. You can see they have pretty marginal tornado parameters out here. Definitely still within the range of possibility. That's going to be a nighttime event, though, across Oklahoma. We'll move this as we reach midday. You can see we do have some of those more significant tornado parameters over 2.0, 2.5 in some areas here in Arkansas. And I think that, oh man, we actually got a little like spike here. That's over 3. So what this does, significant tornado parameters, is this kind of shows us all of the parameters that basically cause tornadoes are all kind of added together and averaged out, and this kind of gives us an idea of, you know, how well all those parameters fit together to create significant tornadoes. And I mean, you can see this warm sector, which is cut off by the front. You do have some pretty significant tornado parameters stretching up as far as western Tennessee. And this is most definitely due to having some more cape stretching this far up. And although you don't have the most favorable hodograph, because it kind of backs up in some of the mid to upper levels, this is still definitely favorable in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. I mean, you have a lot of speed shear. Not so much directional shear, but speed shear. Definitely, possibly through here, you're going to have, yes, a much better hodograph. So a curve on the hodograph like this one definitely indicates much better directional shear, and we have even higher speed shear in this range. So yeah, now that I have talked everybody's ear off, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're going to go ahead and just take a national look at this. Again, this is our HRRR model, so this is just one very short range model that might give us an idea of what the precipitation is going to be looking like for tomorrow. You can see here's our low pressure, which is going to be spawning some of those significant tornado parameters there in Oklahoma, as we have a very, very funky looking sounding. I think that sounding was way too close to the low. But I mean, even on the northern end of this system, you have concern, because we're going to have freezing rain, sleet, and pretty heavy snow on the northern end of this system. We can watch as I run this out. This low pressure system, this trough, is going to be bringing a pretty long stretch of snow, sleet, and freezing rain right along this corridor. All the way from like Cleveland. It starts all the way back near like central Oklahoma and stretches all the way through to Cleveland, Ohio. So even if you're not being affected by the severe weather on the southern end of this, if you live north of just kind of the rain in the middle of this, you're still going to be affected. And heck, even if you live in the rain, you're going to be affected. There's a lot of flooding possibility that's going to be occurring. Let's go ahead and just take a peek real quick. I'm sure that this advisory display is lit up, and it is. It's lit up like a Christmas tree, as we have winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories spanning the entirety of the northern part of this storm. And then we have high wind warnings, flood warnings. So there's going to be flooding, really high winds. This storm is going to be causing a lot of issues in a lot of ways. So please, everybody, just have multiple ways to receive warnings. Have your your National Weather Service radios charged. Just be prepared. That's about all I ask, is that you guys be prepared in the event that something, catastrophic or tragic does end up happening. So that's about all I have for you again today. I know I kind of went on just rant mode and just talked about everything, but that's because we got some of the newest models in, and I think that we are definitely cause for concern right now that tomorrow could be a much more significant day than what we expected. Just because Cape is not being forecasted all that high does not mean that we cannot have strong, long-track tornadoes, especially given the amount of shear that is in place. The kinematic support is just off the charts. So please, everybody, stay safe, whether you live on the northern side of the storm and you're going to be seeing snow, sleet, freezing rain. catastrophic levels of flooding, whether you live down here in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, even parts of Kentucky. Please have ways to get warnings. For everybody that's watching the stream right now, I'm going to be live streaming this event tomorrow, and especially if we get a surprise tonight, and we get some of those really serious supercells going tonight, I will be live streaming the event, trying to keep everybody covered on what is actively going on. If you might need to go to shelter, and what plan you should have in place. So I know I've said it multiple times now, but that is finally all I have for you. Thank you for everybody who is tuned in right now, watching the stream. I appreciate everybody who views, likes, subscribes to the channel. You guys help me out so much. So thank you, and please stay safe out there. And I will offer up, if anybody has any questions, just shoot them in the chat, and I'll be free to answer that. Otherwise, I'm going to be hopping off here. So I'll give you guys just a little bit. And again, the severe weather chances diminish rapidly once we lose our daytime heating down here through Alabama. Once the storms reach right about now, once the sun goes down, these storms are going to be more of just general severe storms rather than supercellular tornado producers, most likely. So, but yeah, if nobody has any questions, then I'm going to be logging off. So, like I said, please stay safe out there. Ultimately, that's what I want everybody to be safe, have a way to get warnings, watch this channel ultimately, if it is cause for concern for you. So, all right. I hope everybody has a good day and stays as safe as possible. Peace out, guys.